Don't worry, darling. This thriller mystery came out in September of 2022, directed by Olivia Wilde, starring Harry Styles and Florence Pugh. I was immediately drawn to this film just based off the premise. I absolutely love anything that's like this perfect, idyllic, amazing world, but underneath it is this dark thing that's going to destroy it. For me personally, that premise is incredibly intriguing. There was so much drama surrounding this movie before it came out, which I didn't really care about at all, and I honestly wish that I didn't know about any of it. I don't know if it was, I guess with any Hollywood movie it was pushed because maybe it would drive up the opening weekend sales. I wish I didn't even know about it. Because honestly, right, the drama was a couple of different things, but Shia LaBeouf was going to play Harry Styles' character, Jack. Florence Pugh plays Alice. Shia LaBeouf would have been incredible in this role, okay? Just absolutely perfect for this role. And then Olivia Wilde kind of threw him under the bus when the scheduling or rehearsal time that didn't work out. And then all this other drama ensued, which didn't even want to know about. It actually made me think about that when I was watching it, not in a good way. So I'm not going to talk about that, obviously. So I was living in New York City at the time when this came out, September of 2022. I am such a sucker for this premise. It is, and the poster and the trailers is like gorgeous, beautiful, idyllic 1950s in Palm Springs, and all the women are holding martinis with these gorgeous dresses and these jewels, and the men are wearing these really cool like Frank Sinatra suits, and everything's so perfect and wonderful. And then there's something underneath the surface that's gonna destroy it all. And you know, what's the big reveal gonna be? I'm such a sucker for that premise. So I went and like completely overpaid at this little arts indie cinema on the Upper East Side the opening weekend. And honestly, I rewatched it again last night. The first hour is fantastic. It's such a fun movie. I mean, the opening scene is like, oh my goodness, it's like the American dream. It's like everyone's dream. Like, who doesn't want to live in that world? There's these couples and this gorgeous Palm Springs house, and everyone's so in love, and they're having so much fun, and everyone's best friends, and they're well dressed, and you know, it's, of course, like anything, it's very surfacey. Like, okay, everyone's not really in love. It's, you know, how long can you sustain that? I mean, just like hot in love. Like, everyone is hot for their spouse. It's like, who doesn't want that? They're playing games and they're laughing and like, it's just, who doesn't want to go to a dinner party like that, where it's just like your best friends and you're in love with your husband and everything's so wonderful and amazing. And okay, then the next day the ladies are drinking martinis by the pool and like watching their kids play. It's like, if that's oppression, sign me up, right? I suppose one of the premises of the film is like, okay, this perfect world that you can't stay in. And apparently the big reveal is interesting in a way, but was a letdown, which, yeah, when the whole thing is building up to this is how it gets destroyed. I was frankly disappointed in the big reveal. I took some notes. Okay, I've set the bar really low so far on my movie review show because, yeah, it's easy and fun to talk about romantic comedies that I've seen dozens of times, and I get to relive it and kind of laugh about it. And I do want to, obviously it would be easier to have a dialogue with another filmmaker or actor or writer, which I will do eventually. But now I just love talking about movies, so this is where we're at. I'm going to talk about this film. So, which I did recently talk about this film at a party recently in LA, and I yeah, I don't necessarily know I'm so good at talking about it, but again, the premise of this movie, I am such a sucker for. I will go every time. One of the things that it makes me think of, that I kind of think of pretty often, is like Donkey Island and Pinocchio. How it's like so fun. Everyone's having so much fun, and it's like a circus, and then but it's like debaucherous, and there's no really morals or value system, and everything's sort of like, you know, there's darkness lurking underneath all the fun, and then all the little boys start growing tails. I think about Donkey Island and Pinocchio a lot because I think a lot of really fun scenarios in life feel like that. Okay, so we're past the premise. Okay, and Chris Pine is also in it. I love Chris Pine's character. Again, I wish that I didn't know that, I guess Olivia Wilde had, or her writer, it's a great script, I guess, until the end of the second act and the end. I'm like, what am I watching? I guess it's hard to tie up all those loose ends. The script, apparently she was saying like Chris Pine's supposed to be Jordan Peterson. Like, if you think that Jordan Peterson is telling like loser guys to like tie up women, like, you don't know who Jordan Peterson is. Okay, so we're not going to talk about that kind of thing because it gets into politics, and we're not talking about that. So Chris Pine and his wife are the creators of the Victory Project, and they have people over at their gorgeous, glamorous Palm Springs house, which, by the way, Olivia Wilde said, like, it's this like artifact in Palm Springs. This house is like, photos have been taken in. It's like in, you know, this house is like an art catalogs, like pictures of this house, and no one's ever been able to shoot there until this movie, which I like. That kind of thing excites me. That's really cool. It was like such a gorgeous set. So Chris Pine's character keeps on talking about like, oh, the Victory Project, and oh, we're changing the world, and you're like, oh, okay, wow, the big reveal is going to be really interesting. And it's all sort of like, well, all my stuff has been spoilers. The spoiler is they're literally in a simulation, okay? Like, Florence Pugh's character is chained to the bed with her eyes open, in a simulation. That's the big reveal, which is kind of interesting, but then like, that's dark, okay? Obviously, her boyfriend or husband, Harry Styles, he is strapping her to the bed, forcing her to live in this simulation, like with her eyes, like clockwork orange eyes. That is dark, okay? That is dark. Interesting reveal, I guess, and then we can get to that. Nothing really, it's sort of completely flatlines once you're in the reveal, and in the end of the second act it completely flatlines. But I really liked Chris Pine's character. I mean, he's fantastic. I always like him. I liked him in the Wonder Woman movies. I think he's a great actor. He's perfect for this part. He keeps on talking about discretion, and it's like, ooh, what are the men doing at work? And like, they're working so hard, but what are they doing? Like, I thought we were going to find out what the men were doing at work, which was something going to be illegal, but we don't. So what actually does Harry Styles' character do all day? Okay, because we didn't find that out. I thought that would be interesting. What exactly are they doing? Like, that's obviously not the point. The point is that this fake, perfect world in this beautiful Palm Springs house and these beautiful gowns, and Harry Styles feels like this productive, attractive, you know, well-groomed and strong man, which is, what's wrong with that? Like, that's supposed to be a bad thing in this movie, which is bizarre what happened to our culture. We're not going to talk about that either right now. Okay, so Chris Pine's character keeps on being like, you know, we need discretion, but no one really knows what's going on. I actually love Olivia Wilde's acting, and she's beautiful and glamorous, and she's perfect for the part. I would have even watched her more. I think she's a great actor for this. and I liked her character. I almost could have, like, she knew. The reveal is that she knew, and that's a really interesting thing. Now I'm just bouncing around. That's a really interesting thing because I guess in real life her kids died, but in the simulation, her kids, she can still be in this world where her kids still exist. That is so interesting. But so she's really excited about the project, and her character in real life and in the simulation knows what's going on, and she's enjoying it because it's a much better life than her reality. Okay, yeah, I mean, a lot of people live like that. They just play video games all day. That seems like a more interesting life than their actual reality. It's kind of interesting. So Chris Pine's character, there's like a voiceover of Chris Pine's character being like, you know, go away from chaos and into order. We crave order. Sink deeper in the way things are supposed to be. Which, and again, it brings us to sort of, you naturally are going to have people that want to revolt against, oh, it's supposed to be like this control. So of course that's going to happen. Something's going to bubble up when you have like this control. You can't control people, you know, in that way. Let them choose that. So that was sort of interesting. Obviously, you know, things are going to snap. So the catalyst sort of started by there's a woman, one of the wives, like literally goes crazy. And when you find out the reveal that it's a simulation, like your mind and then Florence Pugh's character, Alice, literally starts to go crazy, which you would. She's getting like, she's in a simulation with her eyes like this, so her brain is trying to figure out, is trying to make sense of it, which is so interesting about our brains. Like, it's not going to keep believing that this is true when it's not. I would say the overall question that's posed, I mean, she talks about it, and it's sort of in the poster, like, well, the poster is like, are you ready to live the life you deserve? Which, okay, I suppose that's the advertisement for the Victory Project. Oh, this is the life you deserve. I would say the question posed is more, and I know she had talked about this in interviews, could you stay in a world that seemed so perfect, like, except for that thing over there? Like, don't look at that thing over there. It's that really dark thing, like, over there. We're going to lie about it, and we're going to cover it up. So everything's so perfect and wonderful, and everything's taken care of, and you can drink martinis by the pool with your kids, and your husband is so in love with you, and you're so in love with him, and everything's so amazing and wonderful. And they're like in the town, they just like charge everything to their house. Like, come on, who doesn't? Like, people work their butts off their entire lives to get that kind of life. Like, right, this big, beautiful house, a loving marriage, I love my job, and then just charge everything to the house, and we're all best friends. So it's wonderful and amazing, except for this really dark thing we can't look at. Don't look at that thing over there. That's what's interesting to me. I think some people sort of live in that kind of world. I've lived in a world like that. Everything seems so wonderful, amazing, except don't look at that dark thing over there. And I guess darkness exists in the world, so we all sort of deal with it in a way, finding our own happiness and, you know, knowing, okay, what do we do to combat the darkness sometimes? So that, I mean, I just think it's such a fascinating premise. So I feel like, what else did I want to say? The reveal, okay. The reveal is that Florence Pugh's character is a surgeon, and she's so stressed out. She's totally overworked, and I guess she's either married or they're in a relationship. They say relationship. He lives with Harry Styles' character, Jack, and he's like a complete loser, okay? Like, doing nothing. Like, he's like, I don't know, he's online all day. He doesn't have a job. He's online all day, and then she's like, he can't even cook when she's not there. He's like, she comes home from work and he's like, I'm starving. And she's like, why didn't you make food? And he's like, I didn't know what you wanted. So he just sat there starving. Like, I just don't believe that woman would be with this guy. I don't even believe that. So now once that reveal happened, I was like it almost was just so interesting with the movie. It like ruined the like, I loved the first hour. I was like, okay, you got to finish strong, right? Because like, okay, now it tainted the whole rest of the thing. Like, but why would she even be with this guy in the first place? And then they're in this shithole of an apartment. She's a surgeon. I mean, come on. So she's this really okay, fine. She's this super successful surgeon, and then she's like married to this like loser guy who can't eat, who's like sitting there starving, waiting for like his mommy to come home. I don't even like, that pulls me out of the story so much. So by the end, and again, okay, a couple more things. The characters kept on saying, I love you, I love you, I love you so much, I love you so much. Like justifying, like, okay, like justifying their actions, which I think this happens in life. It's like, I'm so bored by that. Like saying that to justify the scene, like that doesn't move along the scene, is to keep saying I love you. That's not moving the scene along. I guess they felt so in love. Did they really love each other? Which is sort of an interesting question at the end. Like, no, because she wants to leave. She's like, come with me. She wants to leave. Hairstyles, I think he has a good look for this role. And then especially, like, I wish I didn't know that Shia LaBeouf was supposed to have that part, because he's such a better actor. And there's a scene, you know, when the reveal has happened, but Florence Pugh's character doesn't know she's in a simulation. She just knows something really fucked up. Sorry, I swear. Okay. It's going to happen. It's going to happen, right? It's happening. And she's like, let's leave. And he's like, now knowing, when you watch it again, Harry Styles' character knows what's happening. He knows that they're both laying in bed. She's tied to the bed. They're in a simulation. And apparently, I guess in real life, they're going to kill her if she tries to escape from the simulation program, which they don't totally explain, which I'm fine with that. But he just sort of looks down, kisses her hand, and then says, okay. I'm not getting much here. So it's like the acting was lacking in that moment, because that's huge. Him knowing if we escape, we might both die. He ends up dying. So I guess if you die in the simulation, then you die in real life. Weird. That's not explained either. Okay. So she kills him in the simulation because he's there's sort of a fight. Once the reveal happens, there's just a bunch of dialogue scenes that I'm like bored of. I'm like, okay, come on. We like, stop saying I love you. We're not moving. That's not interesting anymore, right? Then there's this chase scene that would be cool, except for she had already been there before, so she knows if she gets to this one weird looking modern building that looks kind of like an alien building in the middle of the desert, if she just presses her hands to the window, then she's gonna like go back to reality and they can't catch her in time. So at this point, Jack is dead and she's able to escape. Okay, it's a little like lazy. There's no explanation for that. Okay. Then we have like a tiny little snippet of Florence Pugh's character dancing at the end, right in her real, normal, modern house. And you're like, well, the simulation, I mean, obviously she should not, maybe she'll be motivated to find a better man who doesn't want to like tie her up. in bed and thinking that she hates her job and her life so much that she would rather be tied to the bed and live in a simulation. I mean, maybe that character will be motivated for that, to do that. I think the movie is worth watching. I mean, as much as there's things that I love about it, there's things that I hate about it. And then when I was describing it at this party, you know, another filmmaker's like, oh, well, now I don't have to see it. Like, I know I gave up the reveal, but it's a beautiful movie, and it asks a lot of pretty interesting questions. Like, it falls flat at the end, but when I rewatched it last night, I mostly really had a fantastic time watching it. And then at the end, I'm like, yes, man, how? And then you have to think as a filmmaker, like, what would I do then? How would I fix it? And man, I don't know. I'd have to think about that more. The reveal is kind of interesting, but it reminded me of Ready Player One, when it's like reality versus the fake world, and then those worlds combine. Like, you almost want like Chris Pine's character to like show up at their house. Like those worlds need to overlap. Like, Chris Pine's character and his wife show up at their apartment in reality, their shitty apartment in reality, because now, like, that would be interesting to watch.